Hello cuties and welcome back to my channel. My name is Lavender Alchemy. You can just call me Lavender. So, Happy New Year! We made it through another year and I really wanted to make sure that, I got a video out last year, but unfortunately that didn't happen, so we get to have one this year. I think it's exciting. Anywho, for this year, I thought that I would try and design some characters around traditional items that are usually thought about during the holiday season. Think snowmen, gingerbread, sugar plum fairies, stuff of that nature. So, introducing for the first time the Holiday Party, a group of D&D characters that are themed after specific items that you would think about during the holiday, because I don't know, I thought it would be fun. The first character that we're going to be talking about is the wizard, aka the necromancer, and they are designed to be a snowman. I thought that it'd be fun to make them a necromancer because of how cold and creepy winter can sometimes be, but how it can also sometimes be very beautiful. I wanted to make someone a little bit darker, a little bit more spooky, while trying to keep some very round, welcoming features in her face and in her costume to make it so that she's not approachable. She's just a little bit spooky, So the first thing I did was design this really cute little coat. I wanted it to be bulky and big and oversized on her to make her look bigger than she was. I also wanted to add a bunch of Nordic, Scandinavian-esque sort of features. So I did little snowflakes around her design, as well as a little strip of fabric that has little snowballs on it. That seemed to be a thing that a lot of Nordic design had. Not the puff balls, but the strip of fabric and the heavily designed little trims that they add to their clothing, which is super beautiful. I also wanted to give her these big snowball puffs on each side of her head that would be, her hair. You just kind of pop a snowball on the side of the head and call it a day for hair. Lastly, I gave her the basket. The basket does also kind of relate to a snow woman story, but mostly I just thought it'd be a good idea to keep all of her wares and her little knickknackies and bones and all that good stuff. Lastly, I did design a little friend for her. I was going to design a little friend for everybody, but I thought it was too much because only one of them can summon, a minion, and I thought the most appropriate person to summon somebody would be the wizard, who can, summon just about anybody from anywhere, even the afterlife. Backstory-wise, I thought it'd be a really interesting idea to talk about what their motivations in the party would be, or a little bit about them as a person. So for the necromancer, the reason that they joined the party was to find their adoptive father. Their adoptive father made them a while ago, and unfortunately, due to situations, he had to leave to go help the royal family on a mission. But in doing so, him and the royal family has gone missing. So she joined the heroes party to basically go find not only, the royal family to bring peace to her country, because her country's kind of in turmoil with the royal family gone, but also to find her father and figure out what the fuck happened to everybody involved in that situation. Along the way, she realizes that not only was she in a really toxic relationship with her father because of how he made her and who he made her out of, because he himself was also kind of a necromancer, but she'd also realized that the royal family was genuinely actually her family. She was basically made of one of their children that they decided they didn't want anymore. well, technically they couldn't keep anymore, and they let her go to her adoptive father, who then turned her into what she is, which is a snow woman. Her as a person, she's a little bit aloof, a little bit cold at first, but once you get to actually know her, she is really warm and inviting and sparkly and funny. It's just, she's a little quirky. She's a little silly. Next is the gingerbread man, who is the paladin. I thought that there could also be a potential of them being a barbarian. But, multi-class is a thing, so I wasn't too worried about whether or not they had to be a barbarian or they had to be a paladin. I just wanted to make sure that they looked really cool and that they fit their theme. So the first thing I did was design the dress. I wanted it to look like a baker uniform because I wanted her to be very baker/cookie themed with icing and like little candy dots and stuff like that. I was going to give her little gumdrop buttons, but they turned out a little weird no matter what I did. So that just didn't happen. I also tried to keep her within like a Christmassy thing. I don't necessarily think that gingerbread is just for Christmas, but whenever I think of gingerbread men specifically, I always think of Christmas, so I wanted to make sure that she had reds and greens and whites in her design to give that Christmassy vibe without it being super over the top, hopefully. And lastly, I gave her her giant freaking whisk, which is designed to be either a mace sort of weapon or a sword, depending on how you use it. For the paladin, I thought that she'd be one of those people that's like kind of looking for her lost meaning. Like, she has kind of wavered in her patron, or she's wavered in her loyalty to her patron, and is kind of looking for the reason as to why she's continuing to follow this person. She wants to know that the things that she's doing, the road that she's taken is the right road. She wants to make sure that she's not following people and deities that don't love and respect her the way that she loves and respects them. So she goes on this journey to basically make sure that she's doing the right thing, and along the way realizes that although her patron is real, they do love her, they do respect her, it's just not really meant to be necessarily. She's really more of a free spirit and needs that ability to navigate the world in a different way. So she multi-classes in barbarian in order to basically take out her rage and her frustration of not necessarily being lied to, but not knowing how best to roll with the punches, basically. Along the way, she slowly realizes that although, like I said, her patron does love her, does respect her, and she can take out her anger, she may have kind of done this to herself. She put herself in a box that she didn't mean to put herself in, and now she's kind of has to rediscover why it is that she loves her patron, why it is that she loves herself, and how best to quell her anger in difficult situations. As far as her personality, I think she's very much like the leader type. At least she tries to be. She's the kind of person that wants to take charge and charge into situations to defend her friends, even though it may cost her quite a few. It may cost her not only her life, but, coin and emotional damage, depending on what lies ahead of her. She's also not, like, the brightest bulb in the bunch, but she is kind-hearted and does her best to make sure that her friends and her family are well taken care of. The next character that we're going to be talking about is the Snow Fairy. So the Snow Fairy is our bard. I kind of debated about this character a little bit because I wasn't sure whether or not I wanted a bard character or I wanted like a monk or what it was that I thought she could be. But then I got inspiration from the ballet, specifically the Nutcracker, and it was all over from there. She became the other bard. Her and her girlfriend, the Sugar Plum Fairy, who unfortunately isn't going to get a segment due to me forgetting to record, basically dance in duet in order to fight and, inspire people with their love and their passion for dancing and each other. That's their whole shtick. For the Snow Fairy's design, I wanted something very icy, very cold, but slightly translucent. I worked with lots of layers, as well as took a lot of inspiration from ballet dresses and the decor of like the ballerina tutus and stuff like that. I did make her skirt a non-traditional design, but I wanted it to kind of be a little bit more of I wanted it to be like a round shape in order to pay homage to the fact that eventually snowflakes become like snow itself, which tends to be very fluffy and light and round. But I made it translucent to show that underneath it is still, very much just her dancing, and to basically show off her legs still so that the illusion of the ballerina is still kind of there. I also played with the translucency of her hair to skin ratio. As for her reason of being here, she followed her girlfriend. So her and her girlfriend used to work as professional ballerinas for a circus. And due to a lot of different things, there was a fire, and they got fired from their backstory, for her and her girlfriend's backstory. I thought that they would have a package deal background to some degree, so I thought it would be really cool if they were both, employed at the professional ballet level. But I was like, well, what if they were actually circus performers, because the juxtaposition would be interesting. So they're actually professional circus performers. Both of them had a segment as pro ballerinas in a professional circus that unfortunately burnt down. So they're on a mission to figure out who it was that burnt their circus down, and how it is that they can restart their circus and make amends and start dancing again, basically, and telling their story and the story of their circus. Personality wise, she's a little aloof. She's more interested in her girlfriend than she is in anyone else. She's just not really the type of person that's interested in having a long conversation with anybody. She's just very straightforward and kind of curt, but that doesn't mean that she's necessarily mean. She's just kind of pokey, very cold, if you will. She eventually does kind of get a little bit spicy, a little bit sassy, but for the most part, she's very much just I like my girlfriend, and that's about it, and that's how I like it. I like my girlfriend. The next character that we're going to talk about is the reindeer character. I designed the reindeer to pay homage to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, because that's the most famous reindeer of all, of course. So I gave her the big red nose because I thought it was super cute. And then I made sure to try and give her tons and tons of bells. I feel like I didn't do as good of a job of giving her belts, which I thought would be, is a big part of their, like, a reindeer design, but it's fine. As for the jacket, I thought it'd be cute to have this, like, kind of warm, just off, like, cutout jacket for her with these little bows and bells and stuff. And then have this really cute, like, one-piece leotard-looking thing with fluffy little ruffles on the side to kind of, like, represent the fur on a reindeer's legs. And then she's got these big hoofy feet. As for colors, once again, I tried to do, like, sort of Christmassy colors, but I tried to stay away from just doing the red, green, and white, because obviously the gingerbread woman, lady, man, was mostly red, green, and white. So I was like, okay, I can't just make another red, green, and white character. Let's try and figure out a way to make them similar but not the same. So I gave them slightly different colors as far as, like, the red and the green, and then I gave them black to kind of contrast against the other character and to try and make them a little bit darker silhouette wise, at least underneath the very vibrant colors. As for why it is that she has joined the party, she is joined to not only strengthen herself as a monk. Oh, that's right, I forgot. Fuck. This is the monk of the group. I'm sorry. I forgot to say that. This is the monk. She's the monk of the group. With her powerful legs, that's part of the reason that she is, the reason that she joined the party was to deliver a very, very important present to a very specific person. She's very dedicated to her, mission. Her teacher basically was like, I really need you to get this to this one person, and it doesn't matter how you get it to them, but I need you to get it to them. They're very elusive, they move around a lot, they need to get this gift. And she's like, absolutely, I will get it there as soon as I physically can. So she's basically on this mission with the rest of the group because it serves her purpose of finding this person and delivering this particular parcel. Personality wise, she's very jovial, very fun, very festive. She likes to play lots of funny little games and stuff like that. She enjoys making friends and, trying her best not to get into trouble, because sometimes that's just what happens in a party. She's just not the type that wants to end up in a scuffle. Yeah, that's her. Lastly, this is the Christmas stocking slash elf character. So when I was designing this character, I realized that a Christmas stocking probably wasn't the only inspiration I was going to be able to use in order to make the character. So I used a Christmas stocking as like the base idea for the clothing options, and then I used just the base idea of like an elf to make the rest of the design choices. But this is our warlock. She's designed to look like a Christmas stocking. I used a lot of inspiration points from a bunch of different Christmas stocks, like the ribbons and the designs and like the little felting techniques that they use, as well as the fact that they use like lots of different fabric types and stuff like that. I just wanted to make sure that it looked kind of like a plush sock. As for why she's on this mission, she is on this mission to collect spells. She has heard that there is missing spells across the world, and she is super interested in not only learning them, but collecting them and adding them to her personal library. So please remember to like, subscribe, do all the jazz to help small artists like myself. I do have paid and free versions of helping me. If you just have enough money to give me likes and subscribe, I genuinely, truly, honestly appreciate that. If you have a little bit of coin in your pocket and feeling generous, please consider if you have a little bit of coin in your pocket and are feeling fuck you. If you have a little bit of coin in your pocket and are feeling generous, I highly recommend either going to my Vograce or my Ko-fi. At my Ko-fi, you can buy products, give me a tip, and or buy a commission. At my VGen, you can just buy commissions, which I hope to be able to offer more soon. Otherwise, I greatly appreciate everything you guys do to support me, and I am excited about this year. I'm hoping to do a lot of new things, so yeah. Anywho, thank you. Bye.